Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to continue the another very important example related to reactive form. So if you remember, in our previous session we talked about FormBuilder. We discussed few theoretical points like what is FormBuilder and why do we need it. Okay, but in this session we are not going to discuss theoretical thing. Instead of that, we will do one practical example where we will create a basic form with the help of FormBuilder. Okay, so I'll walk you through the process. I'll tell you what is FormBuilder, how do we use it, and the syntax and structure of it. Okay, but before we proceed further with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to use a reactive form, basic form, how to create a basic form using FormBuilder. Okay, now what I'll do here, I'll quickly press enter after this, and I'll add, like you can see, I'm currently in app.component.html file where I have mentioned. And just one more thing before we start discussion, if you want to refer the detailed session, you can also refer the Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. There you will find more than 3000 plus free resources, which is available in both Hindi as well as English language. So as per your convenience, you can consume the content without any language barrier. Okay, all right, now you can see we have this file app.component.html, where we have main heading as h1 and secondary heading as like main heading shows Angular course by Sharmit, and secondary heading shows reactive form in Angular, basic form using FormBuilder. Okay, now after this we will add two horizontal rows here, and in between these two horizontal rows we will design the form. But prior to that, we should understand what is the requirement, and also as per the requirement we will define the prerequisites. Okay, so what is the requirement? Requirement is very simple. We want to create two input fields here. One is for name and another one is for email. So we want to create a form with two input fields but using FormBuilder. Okay, so let's see how we will define it. So for that we will go to app.component.ts file, where we will mention here in imports reactive form module. Okay, reactive form module. And after that reactive form module, we will expand this app component from here, and then we will define the logic here. Okay, so to define the logic, what we are going to do, we are going to simply make it like this. Firstly, I will mention here constructor, because this time we are going to use FormBuilder. So for that we will use the constructor, opening closing parenthesis. Inside this we will write here private fb colon FormBuilder, then opening closing curly braces, and inside this curly braces we will define the user form. So for that you can write here user form, which is nothing but a form group name. Then we will write here this dot fb dot group. Okay, then opening closing parenthesis, opening closing curly braces with expand, and inside this we will define the fields like name or whatever fields we want to define. Okay, so I'll just keep it like this. So this is a name, then a comma, then we will define here email, and then in the same way we will define the email. Then you can put a semicolon over here. Currently it is throwing error for username because we haven't mentioned it, so just simply write here user form, and just put it like this. Actually we need to define this, so to define this, firstly like we will write the same thing, and here we will use this dot user form. Yeah, now it looks good. Okay, so what we did here, we just simply defined firstly the user form, and then we created the constructor. Inside a constructor we are referring FormBuilder. Always make sure that it is imported, otherwise it won't work. If it is imported, then you are good to go. Okay, then you can see here we have mentioned this dot user form, this dot fb.group, and in between this we have defined the input fields which we want to use. So for component.ts file, these are the only thing that we are supposed to do. Now we will simply design our form, and there we will utilize this all these things. But there we also wanted to show some values from the form. So for that, what we can do, we can add here JSON format, JSON pipe. So after reactive form module, put a comma, and then you can write here JSON pipe. That's it. Okay, now let's go to app.component.ts file. Here we will create one form. Okay, and in this form we will define the firstly the form group. So form group, which is user form. In case if there's any method which you want to execute directly on submission, so you can define here on submit, ng on submit. But for now I'm not defining any method, I'm not using any method. So I'll just simply put a label of my first field, which is nothing but a name. Then we will define the input field, and in this case of input field we will define the type as well as name. Okay, so type would be text in case of name, and here I will write formControlName, where I'll mention the simply name only, because this field is name. In case if you don't want to keep the label, you can use the placeholder also, but I usually prefer to go with a label. Okay, then likewise we will define the second field that is for email, and here I will write input, and type for email is email, and we will write here formControlName. In formControlName we will mention email only. Perfect. So this thing is ready. What we did, we created one label, then input field, another label, then another input field. Okay, now after this what we will do, we will just close this form, and after a form we will define here pre-tag, then curly braces, user form dot value, user dot value colon JSON. Okay, then you can save it. So what this line will do, it will just show us the user form value, or maybe if you want you can put here like heading type of thing, form values, and then a colon, and then this value. Okay, so we have got all the required thing. Now it's time to verify the logic. So for that I'll run the ng server -- open from terminal. It will take few seconds, and then it will show you the output on the browser screen. There we will verify each and every thing that we have implemented so far. Okay, so let's wait for a few seconds. Browser is open, and here you can see we have first heading that is showing for Angular course by Sharmit, and then we have second heading reactive form in Angular, basic form using FormBuilder. Then one horizontal row is there, one label, input field, another label, another input field, and one area where we are just showing the form values in terms of JSON, right? So currently it is blank because we have not added anything in a input field yet. And then one more horizontal row just to make it look like a form. Now see the magic. Here if I write something, let's say ABC, immediately it will show you ABC here also. Okay, currently email is blank because we haven't added it. So if you write abc@gmail.com, it is showing me suggestion because this thing we mentioned earlier also, that's why it is just showing me the suggestion. So here you can see we have name ABC, email abc@gmail.com. So this is how like this form is working for now. So you can see it is similarly working with the like if you compare it with the previous approach where we were using the form control and form group. So it is working in the same manner, right? But the advantage is that now we are not supposed to write the repetitive code. Okay, so we have changed the main changes here. We have just reduced the process. Okay, we have just included one FB group, and inside this we have defined only two fields. In case if you want to do validation and all thing, that I'll show you in the next session, like how we will do validation here with this FormBuilder, but process is almost same. Okay. So I hope today's session is clear to all of you. In the next session, we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.